Welcome back to the Healthcare Rewritten podcast. If you think menopause is all about your estrogen dropping, you need to think again. Today, we're going to uncover all of the connections between your gut health, your stress, your blood sugar, your thyroid, and how this impacts your hormones, and also why weight gain and hot flashes are not just a part of aging. Make sure you stick around to the end. We're going to give you one tangible health thing you can start doing today to manage your stress and adapt to stress better. And also, thank you to all of you who have left a review on our episodes. We love reading them. Make sure that you give this episode a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It is the best way to support us, and we super appreciate it. As a reminder, this is not medical advice. It is for educational purposes only, and it does not replace a one-on-one relationship with your provider. If you have questions about your health concerns or conditions, please consult your provider. Now let's get into it.
Welcome back in, everyone, to another episode of the Healthcare Rewritten podcast. My name is Dr. Collin, and this is Dr. Lena, and we have a wonderful episode for you today all about menopause.
Oh, yeah.
Something that a lot of patients come in with, and they're dealing with terrible symptoms and don't have a lot of guidance on what they should be doing. And usually after a couple months, after going through testing, getting their lifestyle and diet back on track, they pull a 180 on us, don't they?
Yep, they do.
So we're going to dive into everything like that today in the root cause rundown. But what's been going on this week? What do you want to bring to the table? Anything that you want to discuss initially?
So it has been a rough week.
Yeah.
I know this episode is going to release in about 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, like a week
10
days or so, because we record on Tuesdays and then we put them out on Thursdays, but they're a week early. So roughly 10
so
days.
this will be about 2 weeks ago that this happened with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And that really hit us pretty hard this last week.
What did he mean to you?
So, he was super important to us. For me personally, I've never been into politics, never. I usually was the type of a person that avoided it because I either got stressed out, I didn't know anything about it, so I didn't feel like I had any knowledge to speak on it. I also would just get annoyed at my family talking about it, so I didn't want to participate. But I was introduced to him before the 2020 election, actually, and he got me to want to be more active in politics, because once you get into healthcare, you really notice how much politics plays a role in our health. And I think that and especially wanting to raise children, it was really important to me. I've never voted in a presidential election before, in any election. I've never voted before, but he was the person that made me want to vote for the first time in my life, which I thought I didn't think anybody could convince me to do that, but he convinced me that my voice was important enough to vote, no matter what I voted for.
I think that's really important that he encouraged, or he gave people the opportunity to feel comfortable with what they believed in. He was someone who obviously went out and spoke his opinions and his viewpoints, and it made others feel safe to do so as well. So that's where this kind of hits home for a lot of people, is they kind of feel a little standoffish now. I personally don't. And I hopefully that's not the mindset, right? That's not where we want to be with this. But he was very,
And what did he mean to you? I know this is emotional for you.
Yeah, and I have a video breaking that down. We don't really need to dive into it. If you want to look at that, it's on my personal page. But he definitely helped me find God. He has been one of the most important factors in how I raise Vinny and how I treat you. I've learned so much about being a dad, how waking up early is extremely important. Make sure I'm getting the things done like that. Something that I've talked about on this podcast. I say, wake up early, get the things done that you need to, so you can spend time and be there and provide for your family. Those are his words. Taking a day and turning your phone off on Saturdays, those are his words, right? Not just being a physical protector to your family, but also an emotional and a spiritual protector as well. Those are like core values that he talked about all the time, as far as being a father. And those really resonated with me and taught me what I should be doing. And I'm living up to those values today, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless of opinion, right? I mean, we're on a podcast right now where there are a lot of people who don't like what we have to say either. And I want you all to know that we aren't going to shy away from anything, right? This is our platform.
Yep.
And if you don't like what we have to say, I encourage you to share why. Like I love debate. I love open conversation. That's what we should stick with. And I don't want this assassination to push away from that.
Yeah. And that's what he really, that was one of his big things, is we want respectful discourse about things we disagree on. And if we agree to disagree, that's fine. You're allowed to have your opinion and I'm allowed to have mine. You know, it's just, if you have an opinion, tell me why you have that opinion. Why do you feel strongly about that? I genuinely want to know, you know? And I love how much he was not afraid to share his faith with people. Because a lot of people are. I've grown up Catholic my entire life. It almost feels preachy to try to discuss faith with some people. But I mean, it shouldn't feel that way. You should be able to feel comfortable expressing your opinions, expressing your beliefs, and that's what he was all about. And I love that. And I hope, like you said, I hope people don't shy away from it just because something like this happened. That's the whole point. That's why they did this, was to, you know, shut him up, basically. But you shouldn't feel afraid. You shouldn't be afraid
at all. And if you haven't yet seen Erica's video, I believe it was posted to YouTube from the Charlie Kirk show page. It's everywhere, but please take some time and listen to her speak. She did not deserve this. Her kids did not deserve this. I think I was speaking with someone today, and it makes you take a step back. The way that we tuck Vinny into bed at night, right, kind of has shifted. Not that we weren't tucking him into bed, but like the perspective that we have now, the ability and the I'm just grateful that we have the ability to be able to tuck him into bed. And it's absolutely bullshit that his kids don't get that anymore from him.
Yeah, we're definitely more intentional about stuff like that, the little things that we need to really embrace and just enjoy, you know, like you. And honestly too, like when you have kids, you don't get to tuck them in every night for the rest of their lives. You know, they grow up. And then unfortunately, yeah, I think another thing we need to talk about is the fact that the video footage of him literally dying was all over social media. And I think everybody that saw that video is going to have secondhand PTSD. Because, I mean, sure, people probably watch crime TV or TV shows like Criminal Minds, or, you know, they watch horror movies, but that is not the same thing as watching someone that you know is a living person actually take their last breath. And I couldn't get that video out of my head.
It's still hard to this day.
Yeah, I still think about it.
And for a lot of people who, you know, want to bring up other situations in the world, we're not dismissing those at all. This is a figure who was an inspiration to a lot of us. He helped guide a lot of our viewpoints and giving us the courage to go out and speak. Obviously was a teacher, and we built a relationship with him, obviously virtually.
Yeah.
But that's something that's really hard to see when your role model, or someone that is a part of your home, essentially, we put him on every night when we got home, dies in that sort of way.
Yeah.
And it makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah. And I think I saw someone speak on this, and like you said, we care deeply about all of these issues that are happening. Death of any person is abhorrent, and the way that these people, you know, lose their lives is abhorrent. But the thing is, if there was a school shooting that happened and there was a recording of these children dying, the world would lose its mind.
Right.
The world would lose its mind.
Yeah. It was this situation was amplified because it was recorded by so many and instantly put online. And again, it was a figure who meant a lot to a lot of people. I do want to just take a moment here on the show. We haven't done this before, but just like a moment of silence for Charlie and the Kirk family. He is home, and may he rest in peace. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the root cause rundown on menopause.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, we are in our root cause rundown section. We're going to start by talking about the typical menopausal female. Okay, so when I get a woman on my schedule and she's, between the ages of 40 and 55, typical.
We're seeing even younger.
Yeah, even younger. Yeah, like 35 now. That's crazy because that's going to be me. Like, I'm going to be 35 in 6 years. That's crazy. Less than 6 years. Oh, that's insane. Anyways.
I didn't want to say it.
Shut up. But anyways, with a menopausal female, typically they're coming to me saying that they're exhausted. They literally wake up multiple times throughout the night. They're gaining weight. They can't lose weight. They're having hot flashes. They're having to stick their head in a freezer at the grocery store because they get a hot flash in the middle of shopping, or they are having issues with their libido. They have no drive whatsoever, no intimacy, the mood swings, like it just literally every symptom you could possibly think of, they're experiencing. And a lot of the times these women have had a hysterectomy, their ovaries and their uterus have been completely ripped out of their bodies, and they are literally just kind of brushed under the rug. They go to their primary care physician and they're told they need to take an anti-anxiety medication or an antidepressant because they're told it's all in your head. You're crazy. And yeah, they struggle. I feel like these are some of the most heartbreaking stories to hear, because these people are usually mothers and they have no energy or motivation to, hang out with their children or be with their children. They just want to like kind of turn off the world and curl up in a ball and do nothing. And it sucks.
And oh my goodness, do they troop through it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you guys do it.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh, women are the strongest human beings on earth.
And I didn't understand that until I had a child. I mean, you can try to sympathize or empathize, but until you're in it and you understand like the motherhood aspect. I mean, and this even happens to people who aren't mothers, obviously, but as women, we have to deal with so many life changes, and the stress impacts on our body. It's just, yeah, you have to troop through it. You have to be strong, and it is sometimes miserable, but the thing to understand is that we don't have to live that way.
No, the general idea or feeling around menopause, especially in Western society, is that it is evil, it's terrible, and it's something that you aren't going to be looking forward to as a female. That is a completely different perspective as someone, or Eastern medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Eastern medicine calls it your second spring. It's supposed to be a time of rejuvenation and wisdom and growth and clarity. Two polar opposites.
Yeah.
As far as the perspective on menopause go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that really shows where we are at, especially Western society, on women's health, short term and long term.
Yeah. I mean, when menopause is supposed to be the best years of your life. It's a natural stage of life that every woman has to go through. The problem is when what I hear a lot is, oh, my mom had horrible menopause, so that means I'm going to have horrible menopause. I'm like, no, that's not necessarily the case. But yeah, menopause is supposed to be the best stage ever because you're not having your period anymore. You don't have to buy tampons. You don't have to buy pads anymore. You're supposed to have higher levels of testosterone at this point. It's going to be easier to work out. You don't have to worry about working out with your menstrual cycle. You don't have to worry about, accidental pregnancies and things like that. You're just supposed to go about your day to day.
Yep. So let's talk about some common symptoms. And you briefly talked about this when explaining, what a standard patient would be coming in with if they wanted to address their menopausal symptoms. What would you, let's list off like the top 6 or 7 things. Let's start with weight gain, right?
Yep.
And I've even seen the term menopause belly my goodness,
Floating around.
Wow, so emotional. Yeah. So, and that's typically where you're holding weight, okay, or fat right in the abdomen, right? Like you can almost like kind of grab it. So typically that is occurring, right? We talked about adrenals, and if you haven't listened to the adrenal episode, make sure you go check that out. That was episode 4. But again, cortisol is going to play a huge role with where fat is stored, and that's going to play a huge role in where that's coming from, right?
Yep.
What other symptoms?
I would say insomnia is a big one too. They're waking up, 2 to 3 times a night, or they have a really hard time falling asleep. They're wired but tired, and then when they wake up in the morning, they have no energy whatsoever. The sleep disturbances are just super bothersome, which I think is a big issue because obviously we heal and rejuvenate the most while we're sleeping. And if you're not sleeping well, then obviously that sets you up for not a super great rest of your day.
And hot flashes are another common one. Roughly 80% of females who are going through that change note hot flashes. And this is typically due to changes or decreases in estrogen.
Yep.
Okay. Also, another common one is dryness.
Yep.
Vaginal dryness specifically, which leads to more painful intercourse. Also has a lot to do with just moisture in general, right? Our body is basically lacking moisture, and then we get hot, and then we sweat, and it's just this back and forth thing.
Well, estrogen.
And I didn't mean to say we. I don't know why I said we.
Well, estrogen is also what helps to lubricate the vaginal wall, right? So when you have lower levels of estrogen in menopause, it's likely that you're going to struggle with dryness, right? Another thing of note is the mood swings. With menopausal women, they're experiencing either really strong irritability or aggression, or they're depressed. Like they have no motivation, no feelings other than sadness. And they're pretty severe like swings.
Do you need to correlate the fact that testosterone is going to change with the aggression? Like, is there a difference between the irritability and the aggression?
Yeah.
Or the increase in drive as far as testosterone goes? Would you say that has?
I would say, yeah. To answer your question, yeah, testosterone plays more a role with the aggression versus like the irritability is more from the lower levels of hormone in general. Because with estrogen drops, serotonin drops too.
Yes.
Right. So with that drop in serotonin, you're obviously going to feel less happy and more sad or more irritable.
Even more of a reason where you need to be focusing on your gut microbiome, where a lot of that serotonin is produced.
Yep.
Other symptoms or symptoms, definitely brain fog. Look at that. I just gave you an example of it.
Yeah. I guess a lot of people don't know what brain fog is.
You want to explain it to them?
So I mean, it's a different experience for every person, but what I usually compare brain fog to is a lack of concentration or forgetfulness. Some people experience one end of the spectrum or the other, or both, where they can't sit and focus on one thing. They can't remember things. They walk into a room to do something and they're like, why did I walk into this room?
Or they can't string sentences together, or they're grasping for that one word to complete a sentence. That's another common one. Or just feeling in a fog. It comes within the definition brain fog, but feeling hazy or foggy, or almost like an out-of-body experience, or like you're drunk. And it's such a bizarre feeling.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so those are some common symptoms, right, of menopause. Let's start diving into why this is happening, right? Because right now, if you type in all those symptoms, or you tell your doctor, hey, I have this going on, and you're at that age, they're basically going to say, okay, that's either perimenopause or you're going through menopause. And they're going to either recommend some form of cream or HRT, but
pellets,
not address what is actually going on, and give you a tool bag of things that you can do to help better your health and see if you can influence those hormones or that response in a positive way.
Yeah. So I think what we need to talk about is what causes menopause to happen, essentially. So Menopause is a natural stage of life. Every woman will have to go through menopause at some age in their lifetime. And whether or not you develop symptoms is dependent on how you were taken care of while you were having your cycle. Okay. So taking those health steps early, preventative, is the key. But the thing with menopause is that your ovaries, so for women, your ovaries and your adrenal glands are responsible for producing hormones. And we talked about this a little bit on the adrenal episode, which you can check on our page. But as cyclic women, you're producing hormones from your ovaries and your adrenals. And then when you become menopausal, your ovaries pretty much shut down that hormone production. And then you are heavily reliant on the adrenal glands to produce that hormone. Okay, so your ovaries stop producing anything. Well, they might produce maybe like 3% of the hormone. But we also have women who have their ovaries removed or their uterus removed, or a hysterectomy is performed because they were not taken care of while they were having their cycle.
And even if the ovaries are there, the uterus is still the primary blood supply to the ovaries, so function in general will decrease.
Yes, absolutely. And then if your body's under a tremendous amount of stress, right, it affects the adrenals. So in those cases, the adrenals usually will struggle with the hormone output for your estrogens, testosterone, cortisol, and things like that. And then you develop these menopausal symptoms. So another thing of note is that weight gain happens typically because you have this cessation of the ovaries from producing hormone. The adrenals are tapped out. And your fat tissue is an endocrine organ. So it produces hormones. So when you have no hormones from your ovaries, you have no hormones coming from your adrenal glands, the body only has one place left to produce these hormones. So it's going to put on fat tissue to make those hormones.
Right. And if you add that on top of the symptoms that these women are dealing with, they are irritable, they are restless, they're tired, they can't regulate their body temperature. Does that sound like a recipe for success if you want to go exercise?
No.
Right? They start to steer away from exercise. They start to avoid weight training and strength training, which is going to actually do the opposite. But it's hard to do that kind of stuff when you don't feel the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
It is fundamental that you lift weights.
Yep.
It is fundamental that you move your body.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be doing those things because it's going to play a huge role in your bone density, which we didn't even talk about, is a huge factor in this whole process too.
Yeah, estrogen is very much responsible for the bone density. So that's why women are more likely to develop osteoporosis or osteopenia during menopause and as they age, because number one, they're not strength training. Number two, they have low levels of estrogen.
Look, right now, 90% of women claim that they do not learn about menopause in school. I know it's far away, but it should be absolutely mandatory that you are learning at least what that process is and how it's happening. Now, again, if I'm being honest with you, the way that they're probably going to teach it isn't going to be the most ideal. They're going to say it's this horrible thing and that just worry about it when the time comes. And that's where we need to start changing how things are getting taught in schools, in my opinion, because we're just being taught to be reactive instead of proactive overall. Right. And then let alone that happening in like health classes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Do you think you at 13 could give a shit about menopause?
No, I didn't really know what menopause was until my mom was sticking her head in the freezer because she kept having hot flashes all the time.
But your opinion or your thought process, even when you saw that, was, like, that's not my problem. You're
right.
a kid.
Right. Well, I didn't even think about getting pregnant when I was a kid,
Right.
Like you don't think about those things until it's that time.
Now, I'm not throwing your mom under the bus here. Like we talk about her a lot, but
yeah.
Would it have been beneficial for you if you and your mom had sat down or your mom had regular conversations with you? Hey, this is what I am going through. This is what you should be doing to be proactive with your health, to support your body, to support your adrenals and your hormones, so that when this is your time, you don't feel like me.
Well, so I would say that sitting down and having a conversation, I'm just speaking as like, thinking of myself as a 13-year-old, probably not sitting down and having the conversation, but more so like watching her lead by example would set me up to not even have to worry about it down
Right.
the road.
And that's essentially what I was leaning towards,
Mhm.
is that you have to be leading by example. You have to be taking care of your body. I talk about this all the time. You have to be cooking with your family. I think it's really important that you grocery shop together, that you meal prep together, that you eat together. Those are all habits that you can pass down to other generations. But what I meant by the fact that sitting down and explaining what's going on, I think that is important. You didn't know what that meant.
Mhm.
I think it's important to have those conversations if your body or your body's changing and your children are noticing it. They're literal
Yeah.
sponges, like we said last week.
Yeah.
That's something that stuck with you.
I think that, yeah, that's true. Because I watched her, stick her head in the freezer. I'm literally envisioning it in my head right this second. But, and I forget where I was going to go with that. My brain fog is kicking in.
You're giving a great example.
My lack of sleep brain fog.
If you want to see brain fog in live action, you can make sure that you check us out at YouTube at the Healthcare Rewritten podcast.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah, okay, this is where I was going with this. I think a lot of people are uncomfortable having these types of conversations, whether that be moms talking to little girls about their period, talking about hormones, talking about, intercourse, talking about all of that sort of thing. A lot of people don't have those conversations because it feels uncomfortable. I don't even think I learned about tampons, until I absolutely needed to. You know what I mean?
Well, you can't have conversations about health if you aren't willing to look in the mirror yourself and come to a reality of where you are at with your current health.
Mm-hmm.
That's very hard for people to do. That was something that was hard for me when I was going through Crohn's. Like, I didn't want to even look myself in the mirror. I didn't want to face reality. And if I could just completely ignore it, things would be all right. But if you're doing that and you have children, you're kind of setting them further back. I'm not trying to attack you as a parent, but it's important to make sure that you're leading by example.
100%.
So
100%.
Anything else that you want to touch on menopause? I mean, let's talk about some common herbs or supplementation that individuals come to us all the time with and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
Black seed oil. I literally want to throw all of the black seed oil supplements at the wall and hope they break.
A seed oil party.
Yeah.
Like the tea party.
Goodness. Black seed oil is not a cure-all for everything. We need to stop with this notion that it literally fixes every single ailment in your body. No, it doesn't. Most people in menopause are taking so many supplements.
I mean, yam cream is another big one too, because it helps support that progesterone. We'll talk a little bit about Black Cohosh in a bit here. But the reality is you need to get to the bottom line of, okay, why is your body struggling to still produce hormone? Obviously, if you're going through this change, it's not going to produce it like it was before, but you need to be relying on other organ systems. You need to be relying on your gut. You need to be relying on your adrenals. You need to be focusing on your stress. Those are the root causes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, I've had patients where their hot flashes went away by just avoiding their food allergies.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get the fundamental set, you get the food allergies, you get the gut microbiome under control, you start supporting the adrenals. If there are other factors, if there is heavy metals and mold and poor estrogen or clearance of estrogens, that can be addressed, but you have to get the fundamentals set first.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. What would you say is the number one cause of hormone deficiencies in menopausal women?
Well, besides hysterectomies,
yeah,
I would say adrenal fatigue,
yeah,
or in quotes, adrenal fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say?
Stress, like mental stress.
Yeah, I guess
which is going to contribute to adrenal issues.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
And that's built over time. That's not you being stressed from a work event, right? That's something that's built over time,
the chronic stress.
Which is why we preach this needs to be taught at a young age. You need to be able to understand what your stressors are, learn how to adapt from stress, because my stressors as a 13-year-old aren't the same stressors that I have now. I hope they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So not only identifying what the stressors are, but understanding how to overcome those stressors or manage those stressors, because not everything can just be completely avoided.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really important.
Yeah.
How do you test a patient who's coming into your office dealing with these terrible menopausal-like symptoms?
Well, I'll tell you that a lot of the times they think I need to test their hormones. And I always have to preface with them and say, hey, we might need to test your hormones, but we also might not. So let's kind of dig deeper. And when I do their initial appointment and we really dig into their health history, it ends up that they have gut issues, or they have thyroid issues, or they have blood sugar issues. So I will definitely run blood work on them. I actually will test their blood hormones, because a lot of times the production issue it is a big factor, and we need to kind of support that and know where those levels are, especially too if they're taking some form of hormone replacement therapy, because a lot of times that's a whole other conversation. They're not getting tested enough while they're on HRT. But I also will run a stool test,
Yeah.
to look for signs of inflammation, because hidden inflammation is what's going to contribute to these hormone deficiencies.
And things that drive that hidden inflammation are bacteria, yeast, parasitic overgrowths. Again, the good bacteria in your gut, those commensal bacteria, they also help with hormone regulation. They play a huge role in thyroid function, which can be contributing or making symptoms worse as well. They play a huge role in how well you're clearing toxins out of your body, including estrogens.
100%. We always look at a specific marker called beta glucuronidase on a stool test. And if that marker is high, that is showing me that you're not clearing your estrogens very efficiently. You are becoming almost toxic to estrogens. And we have multiple estrogens. We talked about this on our first episode of the podcast, so make sure you go check that out. But we always test to see how you're clearing those hormones, because you can have a poor production issue, but also a poor clearance issue, which can cause you to have symptoms as well.
Yeah, and things like cruciferous vegetables are great to help support, that detox process of the estrogens. There are other things used as well. People throw around DIM and stuff like that all the time, but understanding and making sure that your body isn't being overloaded, right? And that's kind of where HRT and things like that can kind of muddy the waters, is really important. And that's something that you can look at on a Dutch test. You can look at that entire cascade and see how your body's actually metabolizing and processing these hormones, whether that's exogenous or not.
Yep.
Right. And then as far as HRT goes, again, we can't tell you to take or not take a medication. But I will say this: if you are going to take exogenous hormone, just understand you're getting your hormone from an outside source, and you are allowing your body to say, hey, I don't need to or worry about this production anymore. Long term, in my opinion, I don't think that's a great idea. There are plenty of patients that we've had, though, that needed hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
And there's a time and a place for everything out there. I think it's really important that your doctors are exhausting all other options first, giving you at least a year here to, clean up the gut, clean up your lifestyle, clean up your diet, focus on the foundational pieces. And if you're not making those significant changes, then that's where something that can be introduced. And I think that goes for everything, right? Insulin resistance, diabetes, Crohn's.
Yeah. I think another thing of note is that when you're in menopause, you have a higher risk of cardiovascular disease because of low estrogens. But we also have to understand that if you have insulin resistance, you're just fueling that fire. And insulin resistance and blood sugar imbalances can cause menopausal symptoms.
Oh, yeah. And that's going to negatively impact your thyroid as well, which will exacerbate those same symptoms even more, because it's going to impact your metabolism. And that's kind of where that weight comes in. That's most women's primary concern with menopause.
Weight gain, yeah.
Yeah, they would rather lose the weight than get rid of the hot flashes.
Yeah.
Almost every single one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and they usually say they've gained 40 pounds in a year, and that's a lot. And that can be stressful. That in and of itself is mentally stressful, and it's mentally exhausting. You're doing these gymnastics trying to figure out, why am I gaining all this weight? I'm not changing my diet. I'm not changing my exercise. But then we look at their mental stress, and it's like, okay, they go through some horrid life event, and they have this horrible stress period, and it just becomes chronic, or they're not taken care of in their cyclic years. I think that's the most important thing that I want people to take from this episode, is that people are not being taken care of while they're cycling, and it's causing them to have menopausal issues. Biggest takeaway.
100%. I think something that I hear a lot as well is that they count their calories and they undereat. They're like, I'm eating less. Why am I gaining more weight?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the deal. Lena talked about cardiovascular disease. You need to be getting your omegas 3s. You need to be making sure that you're getting the building blocks for hormones. things that are going to support your adrenal glands. That's where you need the protein focus meals. And if you're not eating nutrient dense food and you're grazing throughout the day, like a lot of people going through menopause do, you're going to set yourself up for failure. It's going to negatively impact your blood sugar response, which we've already talked about. It's not going to support thyroid hormone production. You're not going to get your selenium, zinc, iodine, copper, iron. We're not going to get that stuff. You're not going to get your cruciferous vegetables and B vitamins that are going to help support the clearance of those estrogens. And this can really snowball. So eating less is not the right answer. I think it's a point once you are menopausal, it's something where you can actually flirt around more with intermittent fasting. But that's when your hormones are in a stable state.
When you're stable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like when you're menopausal, you stop having that cyclic pattern of hormones. Your hormones should be the same every single day. You almost develop the same cyclical pattern as a man. You know, obviously your hormone levels are drastically different, but the pattern is similar. Okay. So you go back to that 24-hour cycle versus a 28-day cycle. But like you said, if they're not stable, then doing things like intermittent fasting or over exercising, under eating, calorie deficits, all of that can be detrimental to you and what you're trying to achieve.
So if this sounds like you, if you look at menopause in a lens of evil and hate, and you're terrified of it, or you're currently going through it and you feel like it's absolute hell and you aren't getting answers, I highly encourage you to reach out to us. There's a link in the page to schedule a complimentary discovery call to learn more about our process and our approach. We also have a bunch of great resources and guides that are available for you to use as well. But I don't like that we look at this as an evil time.
Yeah.
Right. I wish we can adopt that Eastern Chinese philosophy or Chinese viewpoint on menopause as the second spring.
Yep. Yeah, it's supposed to be a beautiful stage of life.
Absolutely. Do you have anything else that you want to cover in this section?
I think we covered a lot.
We are into the Mythbuster section. So we have a question or statement today. We are going to let you know if this is true or false. What do we have?
Black Cohosh helps reduce hot flashes.
Yeah.
True.
There we go. We got a true. We
Yes.
are on a 1 week true streak.
Yes, exactly.
So Black Cohosh is actually something that we have in our office as well. This isn't an advertisement for you to go out and buy Black Cohosh from us. It's really important to get comprehensive testing done to see if it's something you need or don't need. But tell me a little bit about what is actually going on, maybe at the cellular level with Black Cohosh. What are its properties? And then what impact does it have on hormones?
So Black Cohosh increases estrogen receptor sensitivity, meaning that it increases your sensitivity to estrogen hormones. So if you have low amounts of hormone or you have low amounts of estrogen based off of your labs and you take Black Cohosh, this actually will increase your body's receptibility basically to that estrogen that you have currently.
And that's where a lot of people notice when they take something like that, the hot flashes really
the clinical studies show that it reduces frequency and intensity, which is great.
And we'll be able to link that in the show notes for you as well.
Yep. Some other supplements I usually recommend in conjunction with that for menopausal women is to start from the production aspect. So looking at the adrenals, what helps push adrenal hormone production, and that's going to be licorice root. And then we also have to make sure that once the licorice root helps the adrenals to produce those hormones, we have to convert them from testosterone into estrogen. So we push that with some white peony, right? White peony takes the testosterone and aromatizes it into estrogen. And then when we have the estrogen, like I said, you want to do the Black Cohosh because that will increase your sensitivity to it. So that way you actually utilize the hormones that you're now producing. Now, as a reminder, supplements are not medications and they do not force or manipulate a physiological reaction in your body. They only support your body's natural processes.
Yeah. And when you incorporate things like that, you also want to make sure downstream that we are methylating and clearing these hormones out, because if they're recirculating and we're not having that proper clearance, we run into even more trouble.
Correct.
A couple other things that I want to talk about, not on a hormone level, but other things that we talked about as far as things that we noticed during menopause. Obviously, cardiovascular disease. This is, again, where I think omega-3s, fish oils, are actually really beneficial. We talked about osteoporosis and osteopenia, vitamin D, D3 with K2 is another great support tool. I think those are great.
I think selenium is another one I would recommend too, especially because of the tie-in with the thyroid and the adrenals. I think menopausal women should be either eating their 2 Brazil nuts a day or taking some form of selenium supplement.
I would agree.
So
yeah, I mean, that comes down to being true. Obviously, it's not whether you're taking Black Cohosh in liquid form or capsule form. It's not like you're ingesting estrogen, right? But again, like you said, it does have that influence or supports your body's natural ability. Any other things that we want to debunk in this section? Is it just that today?
That was it.
So if you guys have something that you're like, is this true? Is this not true? I highly encourage you drop that in the comments below on one of our videos. One, it helps the algorithm. I'd love for you to do that. Or if you want to go the long way and email us or call our office and leave a voicemail, you're more than welcome to. All of our contact information will be in the description below as well. But if you're enjoying the podcast episode so far, please just take a moment and hit the like button in the bottom right-hand corner and make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. Liking this video and subscribing to it is the best way to support our channel, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay. I still cannot get the order down. What do we do now?
Wait, I have another myth.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I just thought of one.
Okay.
I think it's a true one.
Okay.
Cholesterol naturally rises in menopause.
Oh, this is yeah, I'm glad that you brought this one up.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's a truth right there. So many women after they hit menopause are put on a statin drug because their cholesterol starts to go up. I even followed this menopause specialist, which we can get into that on another day, but she sent her followers after me one time. I made a video and she did not like the video, and the amount of messages I got from these women that were like, I can't wait for you to go through perimenopause and have horrible vaginal dryness and have horrible XYZ symptoms.
They were wishing negativity upon you, which is also something that we saw this past week that is like unacceptable.
I'm
like what's wrong with people?
Say it to my face. They would never say that to my face. They were sat behind a keyboard and they were just so nasty to me because she sent her followers after me. And it's like, okay, I'm sorry I hit a nerve, but
what'd you say?
Geez. I said that menopause was a natural stage of life, basically. That's what I said in the video, and they didn't like it. I was like, geez, you guys need to calm down. But anyways, it was a menopause specialist that prescribes hormone replacement therapy. But anyways, I liked her video because, she talked about how as a menopause specialist, when a patient comes to her with higher levels of cholesterol, a statin drug is not her first line of defense because she knows it's due to the decrease in estrogen.
That's great.
So I love that. I love that she noticed that. And I love that she said that. And I think a lot of women need to understand that when your supply of hormone goes down, it increases the demand for cholesterol to create more hormone.
Do I have to throw up the steroid hormone pathway again? All right, here it is.
So steroid hormone pathway, we see all of our hormones, whether you're a woman, a little girl, a little boy, an adult male, a menopausal female, no matter who you are. This is the cascade of your hormones, and they all come from cholesterol. All of them. Every single one. Yep. So when your cholesterol goes up, it's because you have a deficiency somewhere in that cascade.
I cannot wait to talk. Next week, we're going to be talking all about vitamin D, which is a hormone, and we will tie cholesterol into vitamin D as well. It's going to be a great episode right around the time where things are cooling down. People are getting out in the sun less and less now that summer is over. It's going to be a great episode, so make sure you tune in next week for the vitamin D episode.
Yes.
So, okay. Yeah, I'm glad that you busted that myth too. I didn't even think that we had that one.
Well, it's a truth. We had 2 truths
That's
today.
right. We're on a streak, a 2-truth streak. I'm the person. I'm gonna make a graphic for that.
Oh, don't waste your time. You're the type of person that literally you have so much time and you just piddle.
It's perfection paralysis is what it is. I edit all of these videos, and if something sounds awful, Lena's like, why is the video not scheduled to be released. I'm like, well, there's this one little thing that isn't.
The audio sounded weird at this spot, and it's like 1 second. And like when I actually listened to the episode, I'm like, I didn't even hear that.
Yeah.
You're like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? I'm like, no, I didn't. So
I would say one thing when it comes to podcasting that I didn't realize, the hardest part I would say of all of this, it's not editing, it's not the recording, it's not, you know, coming up with the content or the knowledge itself. It is listening to myself talk and editing that over and over and over again, and then replaying it and then replaying it. I am so annoying.
And then when I try to listen to it when it's all complete, you're like, no, not when I'm in the room. You have to do that by yourself.
Like, I've already listened to this like 800 times. This is, listen to this on your own time.
Yeah. You're like, you're done. This is not happening. And you're so nice about it too. Like I did it the other day and you're like, I love you, but you need to go in another room and listen to that because I can't. And I'm like, okay.
I could probably recite it word for word.
It's so funny because every time you try to like say something that you know I don't want to hear, you always start with I love you, but, and then you go on to say whatever.
Does it work?
No.
So yeah, a lot of work goes into the podcast. Make sure that you hit the like icon and then hit the bell icon. You'll get notified when a new episode is released, whether that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Now we can get into the notes.
The news.
So I listened to a podcast and they call it news and notes. So that's
health news. Health news.
Awesome. Let's get into it.
Health news.
My favorite segment.
News and notes. The first thing that we have is the FDA crackdown on pharma ads. Right? So the FDA and the HHS are cracking down on misleading prescription drug ads, ending a 1997 loophole that let companies skip full safety disclosures in TV spots.
This is amazing.
It is. Think of how many times you watch TV and a pharmaceutical ad pops up. It's like every other commercial.
I'm telling you right now, and I made a video about this. If you want to see it, check out my Instagram. But the phrase, ask your doctor if this pill is right for you, is burned into all of our brains.
Or like the really fast risks and complications at the end of the video.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to say, but like even like the jingles, like
Yeah.
I guarantee you can recite like 5 of them right now.
Yeah.
It's indoctrination.
Yep.
And not only are we experiencing this, but kids are as well. And they're hearing it on TV. They're hearing it in the car on the radio. They're seeing YouTube ads for it in between their, YouTube clips. And what it is doing culture-wise is it's showing us that, hey, that's all you have to rely on. You're sick, this. You're sick, this. This pill, that pill, this pill, that pill. That's not a good message.
No. And the way they portrayed in the ad is they show the beginning of the ad and the person that they're focusing on is like they look miserable, they look ill, they look terrible, they look sick. And then after they start the medication, right, they make the screen brighter, they change the coloration, they bring out the yellows, the oranges,
everyone's
the blues.
dancing. It's what is that called?
A flash mob.
Right?
Yeah.
That's literally what every commercial turns into.
Yeah.
And most of them, honestly, in those commercials are still metabolically unhealthy. If you had to point everyone out, metabolically unhealthy, metabolically unhealthy, metabolically
Well,
unhealthy.
like think of it this way too. When I see a commercial for Humira and someone is like super happy after their start the medication, I think of you.
Yep.
When you were on Humira and you were even more miserable, almost like awful. Obviously you didn't have a lot of like the abdominal pain at first, but you lost 80 pounds.
Yeah. And and I'm not even going to dive into the risks with that, but
yeah,
what they talk about with a lot of medications is management.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know how you can manage a lot of things too? Lifestyle, diet, environment, the choices that you make. Most of our spending, 90% of spending in America is on chronic disease, and that is preventable disease. It's almost $4.1 trillion.
It's really
so
sad.
Getting back to the mindset that they're making a shift here, the MAHA committee has, committed to this as well. We need to make sure that this is something that we're not seeing all the time. We are one of 2 countries that allows this. It's the United States and it's New Zealand. Every other country, this has never been a thing.
That's crazy.
Direct corporations to consumers as far as drug commercials and advertisements is not allowed. Also, on top of it, if we're spending a bunch of money, and I'm not promoting pro medicine, but if you're spending X amount of money for advertisements, what is that going to do to drug costs? Probably shoot it up, right? So maybe it even lowers drug costs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, how much did Humira cost?
I'm not even telling you. Thousands of dollars.
A month.
Yes.
And I remember the one we got was for you had the preservative in it, so it was painful.
Yeah, that sucked. I couldn't do it anymore.
No, it would take us an hour to get you to take your injection. Like we'd literally sit at the kitchen table and I'd be like, okay, 1, 2, and then you'd be like, no, don't do that. And I'm like, I couldn't even imagine how painful it was.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is a great step in the right direction. Again, informed consent is huge. Also, getting rid of these TV ads, I think, is huge because we're gonna stop. They're basically shoving pills down your throat still on television, and they're gonna get rid of that, which I think is phenomenal. Focus more on the diet and the lifestyle aspect, and then people would just be healthier in general. Like, think of how many hours people are spending sitting and watching TV.
Yeah. Well, and as far as what impact this has on our children, right? It puts the ball in a parent's court, right? Instead of having to see XYZ commercial, even if it doesn't make sense to you at that time, it's still slowly kind of feeding the system and feeding your mentality that this is the way it's supposed to be. It almost puts the ball in the parent's court to lead those health changes. But again, you have to take the ball and dribble.
Yep.
You do. You can't just be the parent and say, hey, like, I'm going to be anti this, anti that. I don't want to go to doctors. I don't want to do all these things, but then not do the lifestyle and dietary things and actually take care of yourself. You have to do those things and lead by example because your kids are sponges.
Speaking of kids, our next news here is that the Maha Commission report proposes 130 plus new federal recommendations around childhood chronic disease risks, including nutrition, PFAs, microplastics, food labeling, formula oversight, etc. This matters tremendously because this policy shift will help to improve the health of the children in America.
And there are a lot of things that they're going to be doing, and they've already started this. Like even the first 100-day program and process that they had it's already starting. The wheels are turning.
Yeah.
Okay. I am breaking all of these things down on my Instagram and on my personal TikTok account. So if you want, make sure you follow Dr. Collin DC so you can get a full breakdown of all of those things.
Yeah, that wraps up our news for today. We'll have more for you next week. If you guys have any health news that you think is important for us to discuss or get out into the public that most people are not consuming or that they know about, make sure you comment down below, or you can send us an email at wesleychapel@thewellnessway.com. We'll be sure to feature it on our next episode.
Yeah, you can even send us news articles, whether that's from CBS, Fox, MSNBC, all these news channels. If you see an article that you want us to break down and give our perspective on, we'd be happy to do that. That's what happens in the news section, because there's a lot of news out there that is, well, all news is pretty biased.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
We saw that a lot this past week too.
Yes, we did. Oh my Lord.
But yeah, if you want us to break down something that you're seeing or an article, definitely send it our way and we will put it on the next episode if the time permits.
Absolutely. All right. Next up, we have the mailbag.
Let's get into the mailbag.
All right. We are in the mailbag section where you guys ask us questions and we give you the answers. So
and opinions.
True. Yes. So our first question here, this pertains to menopause. Okay. Why does cortisol increase so drastically in menopause? Stress.
Quite literally stress.
It's that simple. It really is that simple.
With health in general, it's something that we don't need to overcomplicate this a lot of the time. Right? Now stress is a very vague word.
True. We talked a little bit about cortisol a lot about cortisol on our adrenal episode. And we discussed how cortisol, we don't want you to think cortisol is a bad thing. Okay. So cortisol increasing, we talked about this. It's your body's way of protecting you during a stressful situation. The issue is when this becomes a chronic problem. Okay. So in menopause, typically this has become a chronic problem. And at this point, a lot of the times, cortisol is actually lower in my menopausal patients because they've been under stress for so long. So it just becomes to the point where the adrenals have nothing to output, and then you gain weight because your body's trying to produce hormones somewhere. So typically in menopause, cortisol is on the lower side. I would say they're deficient majority of the time. But if it's still elevated and it's drastically elevated, your body's under some sort of stress, and you have to find out where is that coming from.
Yeah, and I mean that's where you see if the adrenals aren't putting that cortisol out, you also see that DHEA usually mirror that too on the lower end of the spectrum, and then that's kind of where you're going to have even more imbalances as far as hormones go, decreases in estrogen, and so on and so forth.
Remember that steroid hormone pathway. Another takeaway for today.
Like screenshot this.
Yes.
I'll put it back up again.
Yep.
So
all your hormones are connected. Stop looking at the trees. Step back and take a look at the forest.
I love that. It's beautiful.
Personal question.
Okay. Yeah.
What is your favorite exercise?
Ooh. Okay. This is intentional exercise. Golfing doesn't count. Sorry, guys. Right? Going on a walk, I guess, can count, but it's not my favorite. It's not lifting weights. That's why I don't go to the gym every single day. That's something that I've owned. Like, I'm not going to try to force myself to do something that I don't like.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be sustainable. My favorite exercise is 100% swimming.
True.
We're both swimmers growing up. I love it. I love the water. I just love swimming. It gives me a chance to not have any other stimuli around. You put your goggles on and you swim. You don't really hear anything. You're with yourself and your thoughts while exercising. I think it's great. So that's my go-to. What about yourself?
I love weightlifting.
Yeah, you do.
I love it. I swap between a couple different exercises depending on, how fatigued I get with certain exercises. I do get, lifting fatigue. Like some months I really love lifting legs, and other months I'm like, I hate lifting legs. I want to just do all upper body and destroy my shoulders. And I think my favorite exercise lifting weights wise is actually lateral raises. I don't know why. I love working out my shoulders. I think that has to do with swimming a little bit. But I like swimming too. Maybe not as much as I used to because I swam collegiately, and that was a lot.
It's a different beast.
It is a lot. But I do like doing it casually now. And you joined a swim club.
Yeah, so that's in Tampa. If you want information on that and you're in the area, I will definitely get that to you. But yeah, swimming, and that's why I wanted to join a swim club. And down the road, obviously, we've talked a lot about joining like master swimming, getting back into that where you actually get to go and compete again. I think that would be amazing. But swimming is hard to do for me on my own, right? Like if you're swimming by yourself, obviously you have times that you can try to meet, but I love being pushed and I kind of have to have that.
Yeah.
So I'd like someone being behind me or in front of me and being able to keep pace. It really does help.
I think what's really funny is the swim teams that I've been on have bonded so well. And I think it's because we just suffer so much together during practice. Like you just are almost trauma bonded at that point. But I was always super close with the people on my swim team all the time. And I think we just enjoyed beating ourselves up.
Yeah, being vulnerable and in pain actually brings us closer together. And there's a lot to say with swimmers having good relationships with one another for the fact that we spend our entire time with our face in the water and we can't communicate when we practice or when we have events. Like other sports, I'm not saying you guys just sit around and socialize the entire time, but we don't get to talk to one another in between the 4 seconds or whatever it is in between your set there.
Yeah. I really hope that Vinny likes swimming.
Yeah.
He loves water. He loves bath time. He loves going in the pool. He has his own little pool that we put on our patio and he swims. He doesn't swim, but he sits there and plays with the hose and he has fun.
But he can throw a football.
He can throw lots of things like food.
He likes to throw.
He likes to throw things. So it's, but I really hope he likes swimming because I think that would just be a super cool bond that we could all have together. But I hope he likes it. If not, he's not my child. No, I'm just kidding.
No, and he doesn't have to like, but
At
I
least
mean,
be
both
able
of
to do it.
yeah, I mean, you and your family, not just yourself, but your extended family, my family, my mother, like we were all swimmers. Like
Yeah.
not like you didn't do, you know,
Yeah.
swimming for fun. Like they were swimmers.
Yeah, we were swimmers. Yes.
So I feel
I was
like
the
it's
only one in
kind of
my
in the
immediate
blood.
family, but
Yeah.
your mom was really good.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Well,
she
and
national champion?
Yeah, she was a national champion, which is so cool.
Yeah.
I brag about that all the time.
My cousin
your
just got inducted into her college Hall of Fame for swimming.
Toledo, right?
Yeah.
Like that's insane. Your uncles,
my uncles basically started the swim team at my high school that I went to. He was I think he was the first state qualifier at my high school.
Yeah.
That I went to, which is crazy. But yeah, swimming is in our blood.
Yeah, and it's great for you. It's less stress on the joints. It also helps with cardiovascular system and breath control. It's wonderful for you.
Extremely great aerobic exercise.
100%. So check it out if you haven't done it yet. Make sure you know how to swim though.
Yeah.
Okay, that is going to wrap up the mailbag. Let's dive into the health homework. All right, we are into the health homework section where we are going to give you one thing to focus on this week to make you healthier tomorrow. Lena, what do you have for everyone today?
So my health homework for you guys is to write down your top 3 stressors in your life right now. And I want you to circle one of them that is the most feasible for you to reduce this week. That makes sense?
That's perfect.
Yeah. So pick one stressor that you can actually control and reduce for yourself this week out of those top 3.
I like that. I would say for my health homework, and hopefully you carry this on, but if you are contemplating saying something or speaking your mind, don't. Just do it. I think I want everyone to know that you can still speak your mind and your opinion. We live in the United States of America, and you have a right to speak what you want without violence. I think that's extremely important, and I want to remind you of that today. I know there's no tangible thing that you necessarily need to be doing, but I think it's a good time to reflect on that and making sure that you aren't censoring yourself based off of what other people around you think. I think if you're speaking your mind and you're true to your beliefs and your values, the right people will surround themselves with you, and it'll probably be better for your health. So that's what I have for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Those are 2 great pieces that can help better your health for tomorrow. Let me know in the comments below with the health homework. What has stuck? Which one have you done for an entire week? And you're like, you know what? This is awesome. I'm going to continue with this. We have a long list of these things, and you can dive into each segment of the podcast, whether that's the health news, the health homework, the root cause rundown, the news and notes. You can dive into those individual segments. If you didn't really care or menopause doesn't pertain to you today, go ahead and skip it. Dive into the news, dive into the health homework. Go back and listen to a few of these things because they're all great pieces of information.
Absolutely.
So, alrighty, that is all I have for you today. Lena, do you have anything else before we wrap up this episode?
Make sure you share this episode with your mom.
Or grandmother.
Or grandma. Or aunt. Or sister. Or cousin.
When you think the word menopause, who initially comes to your mind?
Share that with them.
Right now. You can share it on YouTube so they can watch it. You can share it to them on Spotify, Apple Podcast. We're going to have blogs written about this episode as well if they prefer to read. We have all the different options for you. The best way to support us is sharing the show, hitting the bell icon, and hitting the subscribe button. Thank you all for listening. We're going to dive into vitamin D next week, which is a hormone, right? So that's going to be exciting to dive into that, especially as we get into fall and cold and flu season.
Absolutely.
All righty. Thank you all for listening to another episode. Stay safe out there. Love one another, and we'll see you all next week.
See you guys.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to another episode of the Healthcare Rewritten podcast. Make sure you tune in next week. We're going to talk all about vitamin D, which is a hormone. We'll talk about it at a time where cold and flu season is going to be on the rise. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button. It's the best way to support our channel, and I'll see you all next week. Goodbye.